Mhm. Yes, 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 yes. Ugh, feels good to be back on the old home computer. Mm. Nope. Mm. Mm. Whoa. So many uniques. Yo, Vitaguro, what up, man? Welcome in, bro. How you doing? I am doing good. I'm just waiting for Lolcohol to be ready, and we're gonna do a podcast this morning. So I'm just blasting a little bit beforehand. Working now? Yeah, shit. Well, this is a good time if you're chilling at work to listen to the podcast, man. Perfect time for that. I know it's a bit early. I think Lolcohol's from South Africa or something. So we're doing an early stream today. Have I played the new league on POE 1? How is the 0.21 feeling now? Yes. So I did. Oh, yep. Hold on one sec. One sec, brother. Do I stream on Twitch too? Yo, Lolcohol. Yeah, I do. It's just Blazeworks TV on Twitch. I will link it to you right now. Sorry, I was just in the middle of chatting. Let's see here. There we go. Oh, I fucked that up. There you go. Sent it to you on Discord, homie. But yeah, I played 3.26 on PoE 1. I'm actually making a video on that right now. I just recorded all of the audio for the script yesterday. It's about 20 minutes long, so it's not like super duper long, but it's a decent it's going to be a decently long video. Just kind of talking about my experiences with PoE 1 for the first time, honestly. Like I've never played it before this particular patch. I think the game's a little loud.
gamer.
Yo, Lolcohol with the raid of 125 people. What the hell,
God,
dude?
who are all these people?
Damn, yo, welcome in. Regular Lolcohol enjoyers. What's up? What's good? Hope you guys had a great stream today.
You're a gamer.
Yo, thank you for the raid, man. That is amazing. Holy shit. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you guys for all the follows.
You are not long for this world. These spirits are mine. Mine.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Guys, the POE 2 is gonna go away soon. Blaze, is your first name Johnny by any chance? Hey yo, Johnny Blaze, ain't a damn thing changed. You ready whenever? All right, let's do it. Let's hop on a call. Sorry, I just was finishing up this map here. Dude, thank you for the raid, man. That's incredibly nice of you. Man, POE 2 looking so good after playing POE 1 for a while. I know, dude. Look at this. Look at these graphics, dude. Have you guys seen this skill yet? I don't know if you guys have tried out this lightning sphere skill, but it's pretty sick. Oh man. All right. Let's hop on a call here. It is a little off meta and weird, but it does the job, you know? Especially for hardcore. All right, let's get in on a call. I'm going to start calling right now. Good morning.
Hello. How are you?
Hello. I'm good. How are you, my friend?
Good. Good. Let me turn on my camera.
Sounds good.
Oh, it's showing so much.
It's showing so much.
I'm just seeing my own face. Help.
That looks good. Like this is like the first time where I like popped out the stream of yours and it just like fit perfectly.
There we go. Beautiful.
Yeah. So can you see on my stream how that looks? Are you happy with how that looks?
Yeah, that looks good. That looks good.
Okay. Guys, anybody in the chat, can you let me know if we're sounding good? Do I sound good? Lolcohol, maybe say a few things just to make sure you sound good.
All right. Check. Hello. We need like a dedicated audio listener guy.
Okay, we've got good, crystal clear, everything
good. Crystal clear.
Does anyone sound louder than the other person? 5 out of 5. Oh, we got a 5 out of 5. Damn.
Oh,
okay.
Perfect.
All right. Well, that's promising. Cool. So I'm gonna pull up the questions and we will get started. How was your stream, man?
Good. I'm having a
Nice.
ton of fun playing PoE again.
Nice.
So much fun. I'm a tad louder, says Regis. I can also ask a friend to just.
I'm gonna drop them down by 1 decibel. Maybe that should be fine. Yeah, maybe that should be fine.
All right. Yeah, I'll keep an eye. Like Regis, if you're gonna hang out for a bit, maybe just shout if someone's too loud or anything.
Yeah, definitely want to try and iron this out before we hit the record button. But if anything, I can always just fix it in post and stuff. Okay, so PoE 1 blasting. How is that? How has it been first league or expansion in like 11 months, dude?
In 11, it's so good because it's not only a league; it is an expansion as well, right?
Yeah.
It was like it's been 3.5 years since we've had a league and an expansion, so I was missing that.
That's crazy,
and it's just good,
dude. That's crazy.
It's just so good to be back. It's like it's a super fun league. Everyone seems to be in good spirits about it, other than like all the crashes and stuff. But it's just good, man. I haven't seen anyone complaining. It's a miracle. Other than the crashes, but I mean,
yeah,
that's fine.
And that's just due to like server issues. That's not due to like any hardware stuff for people or anything like that. So it's fixable. They're gonna fix it, guys. Don't worry. It's gonna be fine.
They're gonna fix it. And it's like DDoS attacks. It's not even their fault.
I feel like DDoS attacks have just become so much more like prevalent now. Why is everyone trying to shut down people? Like, just let people play games. Like, come on, guys.
And it's a crime, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's a crime.
100% it's illegal. 100%. All right. So we're gonna do the cheesy YouTube we're gonna do the cheesy YouTube intro, and we will get started.
Great.
All right, hitting record in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Passive Tree Podcast, a podcast dedicated to talking about life, Path of Exile 2, and everything in between. Today, on episode 10, we are joined by a fellow POE content creator, streamer, and aficionado. Please give a warm welcome to Lolcohol. Welcome on,
Hello.
and how the heck are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing excellent, dude. I just got back after like a week-long work trip where I didn't have my computer. I was playing PoE 1 on a gaming laptop for the first time ever. And I'm not gonna lie, it feels good to be home, playing on the home rig, you know what I mean?
On a proper thing that's not like 100 degrees on your lap or whatever.
Dude, the
Man.
laptop fan was working hard. I didn't expect PoE to be so intensive on the laptop, but like my girlfriend would look over and be like, "What is that screaming noise?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's just my laptop. She's
Just
not
like
happy.
PoE.
Yeah, she's not happy with me right now."
Oh no. I only got my first tower in like 2017, and I've been playing PoE for like more than almost 5 years at that point.
Yeah.
And that poor thing, man, it was like 30 FPS in the campaign. You get to the end game, it's like 10 FPS. And I played it. I played it for like thousands of hours on that thing. But then the moment you get a good computer and then you go back to a crappy laptop, you're like, oh no, like your brain can't handle it.
I know, dude. I know. And like, I'm a sucker for, I got to have minimum 60 FPS. But the thing about
Yep.
PoE is that I was surprised at how just good it looked. Like, so I haven't played it before, right? So I just imagined it looked like kind of a Diablo 3, but a little bit elevated. But once I got all the graphic settings sort of figured out, like I was pretty impressed. Like this game is looking damn good.
PoE 1?
PoE 1, yeah.
Yeah, it does, hey? Like,
Yeah.
it has been improved significantly. You look at old footage of it from like 2012, it looks like a different game.
100%.
It is really good.
Yeah, no, I was impressed. I mean, it's obviously not quite at the PoE 2 level. It is a bit jarring, kind of holding those two like side by side and being like, wow, like look how far it's even come from now. But I was still like very pleasantly surprised at the aesthetics and the lighting and the skill effects and everything. It looked really good.
That's the thing, right? It's got like a good art style.
Absolutely.
It has a good art style that holds it up.
Yeah, exactly. All right, guys. So we're going to jump into our very first question, the classic passive tree question. Lolcohol, I would love to hear about your first foray into gaming. Was it console? Was it PC? Give me the scoop. Give me the story.
Into gaming? Oh, I'm trying to think. First time I played game, definitely on a computer, like an MS-DOS back in 1993 or something like that. Started out with first game I ever remember. I think my mom said they gave us like spelling games. I started playing spelling games. I don't remember that. First game I do remember though was, I think it was called Xerox or something, where you had like a box. This is just in black and white, but like a box, and then you had to draw a line so you could like point your little character or whatever. It was just like a dot from the edge of one side, and you had to like push a button, and then it would start crawling to the other side. And then if you got to the other side, it would like fill that in. But there was a ball bouncing between the four walls, and if your little guy got hit, your little snake, then you would die. I remember playing that a lot. So that I don't even know what that's called. And from there, like the MS-DOS era, oh man, we're gonna go down a nostalgia rabbit hole now.
Yes, please.
All the like the old Apogee games, Sierra games, Crystal Caves, having to like figure out how to, like, we were all little coders. We were like 5-year-old coders, like dir/WC, like trying to just open a game before Windows was like pretty hard. So I started there. Yeah, started with PC, got into console like a little bit, but always been into PCs.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. So let me ask you this. As you started on PC, how old were you approximately when you like hopped on for the first time and started like messing around on MS-DOS?
MS-DOS, probably when I was like 3 or 4, from what I can remember.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Yeah, my parents didn't have a computer for the first few years of my life, so I started off as a console gamer. N64 was sort of my first iteration of that. But my cousins did have a Sega Genesis, which was technically the first console I ever played. And I don't know if you ever played Sega Genesis, but that console
Sega
actually
Genesis?
owns.
Wait, let me just. Yes. No. This was my first console.
Yes.
But we called it I called it a Sega 16-bit.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I got one of those secondhand in like, I don't know, 1999 or something.
Mhm.
I love that thing, and it came with like a cartridge that had 400 games on it. I don't know if it was legit. It might have been like a knockoff, but it had so many fun games like Flappy Bird, Sonic,
Yep.
Earthworm Jim.
Yep. Oh.
Oh,
Yeah,
so many good ones.
that system still has some of my like favorite game soundtracks of all time. So there was something
Yeah.
very special about the 16-bit like Sega Genesis sound card that allowed for so much interesting and actually depth into video game music. There was a game called Shinobi 3. It's a very like obscure Japanese ninja game, but it has like to this day like my favorite video game soundtrack of all time. It's so good.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's that era of music is unbelievable. Like the Mario, even the Mario soundtrack as on in terms of like a music composition is incredible, and the limitations on that were it's unbelievable what they were able to do with that, because I think there were only how many channels were dedicated, like 4 or like 2 channels. I don't know. It's fascinating. I've looked at a lot of that old music, and it is not only is it brilliant, but like what they had to do to make that music sound good is incredible. Is incredible.
100%.
Because nowadays you're just like unlimited. Oh, you can have like 500 tracks if you want. Then it was like 2.
Yeah. And I know you're
Yeah.
a music fan. We're gonna talk about that later.
Yeah.
Let's put a pin on that right now. I can see the guitars in
Sure,
the
sure.
background and all that stuff. Well, guys, don't worry. We're gonna get into the music. Another thing, a follow-up question. So after playing, on the computer since the early age of 4, what
Mhm.
were some of your standout games? This is a hard question. What were your standout
Oh.
games throughout your entire childhood, maybe your early adult life? Just give me a few of those that sort of left a lasting impression on you as a gamer.
I think probably the first game that ever really resonated with me, and like I'll be amazed if anyone knows this, was a game called Loom.
Okay.
It was also a DOS game. That was like the one game my parents actually enjoyed me playing because it had a musical element to it. So my parents really did not like me playing games, but that one, Loom, that was probably the first one that it's like sticks in my memory. And then all the like Crystal Caves, MS-DOS games, all of those just I'm looking at pictures now. It's like having a nostalgia breakdown.
I
Oh,
love that.
yeah. That was special. And then but then back then, I don't know how old you are. Are you able to say?
Sure. Yeah. So, guys, I'm 33 years old.
You're
There we go.
33. Okay, I'm
Turning
34. So we're
turning
about the same
33.
age.
Yeah, like in a month. So, yeah,
Okay.
I've
So you probably
accepted
grew
it.
up in the same era when like games were just graphics are rapidly increasing like every year. Like the next game was like the craziest graphics you've ever seen.
Absolutely.
So we
I
went
mean,
from like yeah.
yeah, dude, I know. Like, even looking back, so we haven't been alive for very long. Like, 30 plus years is a decent chunk of time, but it's not like we've been around, the world, or the sun has gone around the world, or the world has gone around the sun. I'm saying this terribly, but we've been alive for a very short period of time. And in that time period, look at the shit that we've seen from MS-DOS to like these Unreal Engine 5 games that just look basically
Yeah.
photorealistic in like whatever it's been, like 25, 30 years basically. So, but the thing is, it's not necessarily just all about how good the game looks. I think that a lot of the games that we played back in those days, the gameplay was so beautiful and so well done because they had to work within those tight constraints, right? To figure out those tough problems. And graphics just came kind of as whatever they could do at the time. Whereas now it's like
Yeah.
it's unlimited possibilities in terms of basically graphical fidelity and also whatever they want to do in a gameplay or in terms of gameplay to some respect. So I don't know. Do you think that gaming now is like better, or do you think that like gaming was kind of more in a better is a tough word to say, but how do you feel about gaming now versus gaming back then?
Thing now, man, it's so hard to say because like when you're 10 years old, everything is special and exciting. But it did feel like looking back, there wasn't an extended period of time where it just felt like everything. There was just amazing new stuff happening all the time. Like we see. We see. Let me just clear my throat. Sorry. Like we see Unreal Engine 5, and it's like, wow, this is so crazy. But it felt like every year we were getting the difference between like Unreal Engine 3 and Unreal Engine 5 like, every 2 years. Just the most mind-blowing thing. And like you said, it wasn't just the graphics, it was the art, the style, there was a limitation. I mean, I kind of stopped after MS-DOS in terms of like my childhood gaming, but going from MS-DOS to Diablo 2 within the space of like what 4 years? What? That's crazy. And that's probably when I got properly addicted. I don't know if games are better now. They probably are, but there was a special time then, but it could have just been because I was like a child.
Absolutely. I feel like I'm looking at your face right now and you're like going down like memory lane with these like questions and with these conversations, which I love. That's sort of like the whole point of this. I call it the early part of the passive tree where you're at those early nodes, you know what I mean? Where we're reminiscing on the early start. But to add to that, so not only did we have sort of more minimalistic games, I will say back then, but we had less games to play. So like the fact that Diablo 2 was out and we were playing that when we were, I don't know, in like 2000, the fact that that game was that good back then, but we also didn't have all of these other options to play. Whereas now it's like we can play every game that's ever been made essentially up to this point, plus all the new games that are coming out. And so there's just so much more variety that we have, plus the level of game design and graphics and all that stuff is really expanded. So I feel like back then it was like we had really good games, but we also didn't have a lot of choice in the matter. Like if you had Diablo 2, that was the game you were playing and you weren't really playing anything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you had like a couple of games and you play them to death. The number of shareware games that I played way too long, like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, I got a shareware copy of that game. And it had one level, it was the smallest level. I played it an insane amount. And that was like the best ever. Yeah. It's just like this one skate park, you just play it over and over. So, but at the same time, like even though there's like an infinite number of options, so that actually make it harder to enjoy what you are doing. I don't know.
That is a very interesting point. So I was speaking with a friend yesterday and I called him, I don't know if this was verbatim, but I called him baby iPad gamer brain. And the reason why I called him baby iPad gamer brain was because he has like trouble getting his attention held by a game nowadays because he's always looking for that next game basically, and he's always like, Blaze, what are we playing next? What's on Steam? What's on sale? What's coming out? I'm like, dude, you're like a baby with an iPad that can't like keep their attention anymore. You know what I mean? Like it's completely shifted now where yes, the options are just so, you know, there's a plethora, there's a huge library, even games you don't have to pay for, and it's tough to really lock in when now it's like, oh, but I could be maybe trying something else, you know?
Yeah, and I feel that I kind of do the opposite where I really struggle to get into new games, but I'm also really, really happy just playing the same games I've always been playing. And that's what I mostly play, like Path of Exile, Diablo 2. I never stopped playing Diablo 2 once I started. Counter-Strike, Dota, those kinds of things. Like playing a new game, it's so hard to get into. And it's not so much that I'm like worried about, oh, I should be playing something else. It's just that there's like a comfort to these games that have been part of your life for so long, and you know what to expect going into it. And like even Expedition 33, I didn't have a chance to play it, but even after hearing literally everyone on the planet saying it is one of the best games ever made, I don't feel motivated to play it. And I have a horrible feeling that if I did play it, I might play for like 2 hours and never open it again. I've got a habit of that, not finishing games.
Dude, we're the exact same, man. Like I find comfort in the games that I love to play, and it does take me a long time to get even like the courage built up to try something new. And most of the time it's not like an online game. I'm not even going to finish it. Like I played Elden Ring. I loved Elden Ring. Every hour of my 40-hour session that I played or over that week was incredible. But I was like, I kind of feel like going back to playing Counter-Strike. And then I just ended up going back and playing that. And everyone's like, come on, man, you didn't finish Elden Ring? Like, that game's amazing. And I'm like, I know it is, but I just want to play the games I want to play. It's the same thing with like movies and TV shows too for me. Like,
yeah, it's the same.
Yeah, instead of going out and watching a new show, like my girlfriend's always like, we need to watch a new show. I'm like, but we could just watch Better Call Saul again because that show's amazing.
Yeah, I was gonna say Breaking Bad. I'd be like,
yeah.
I've watched Breaking Bad 4 times.
Me too.
And I'm kind of feel like watching it again.
Same, dude. Same. Yeah, it's like
at
why?
what point?
Yeah,
but
why
I mean,
invest?
like you know what you're going into. You know what you're gonna get. It's gonna be enjoyable. I don't know. That's probably like a personality type thing.
Yeah, but we're on the same page. So in regards to personality types, this is sort of a great follow-up or great segue into this question here. So now that you're older, you're not a child, you're not playing MS-DOS computer games anymore. How do you find your own balance between life, between gaming, between work and responsibilities? Give me the scoop on that.
I actually keep it pretty healthy. Like I've got a bit of a schedule that I kind of stick to loosely, where it's, wake up in the morning, there's things that I need to do, write guides, edit videos, whatever I need to do, then stream. And then after I stream, like I don't normally touch the computer unless there's something, unless I'm really addicted. Like at the moment with the new part of Exile League, I have been ending stream, having supper, and then coming back to the computer. But when I'm not like mega addicted, I won't play after like 6. I don't turn on the computer on the weekends. It sounds weird, but yeah, you need to keep that balance, right? Because it's so easy to spiral into, like playing 12 hours a day, and then you realize like, oh, I haven't showered for 3 days. Like, yeah, and then you're just like, why am I depressed? What's going on? And you realize, oh, I haven't seen the sun for 2 weeks. Dude, I had the weirdest experience with that once, like probably a decade ago. Did you ever play Jazz Jackrabbit?
That game sounds super familiar, but I don't remember.
You don't remember? That actually is a game that was super special to me now that I think about it. But Jazz Jackrabbit was a 2D platformer, but it had these bonus levels where it was like pseudo 3D, where you were on a road and you would like run down the road and then you could push left or right to turn, but you were like from behind the rabbit. And so it felt like you were in 3D. And I once remember playing games. I think my parents went away on a holiday for like 2 weeks and I just played games for 2 weeks. And then I went outside and I had that same feeling of going from like Jazz Jackrabbit 2D into like the bonus level where I was like, oh shit, there's more than 2 directions like I can turn. So I'm trying to avoid that, okay? Because it can happen. It can happen where you lose yourself.
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
Especially as this is a job, it's easier. I guess it's easier to like say, all right, I'm not working this weekend.
For sure. I wasn't sure if you had sort of like a separate job. So what I'm gathering is that streaming, content creation, all this kind of stuff is the full-time work for you, basically.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
As of
Damn.
December.
Okay. Okay, that's very cool. Well,
Yeah.
congratulations on being able to do that. That's amazing. And it sounds like from what
Thank
you've
you.
said, of course, it sounds like from what you've said, you sort of, you know, balance is something that we always have to work on. Like, it's not something that you just get and then you just, you know, it's just perfect all the time. It's something that you have to consistently fight the urge to like not be on the computer or whatever afterwards, after you're done playing your, you know, your stream and stuff like that. So it sounds like you got it pretty figured out. So what do you like to do as sort of like a touch grass moment? Like where what are you sort of doing off stream, off the computer to help you keep that balance?
Huh. Play the Nintendo Switch outside. That's what I do. To just get a break from the screen. No, that doesn't count. No, what do I do? I don't know. Like I see friends, hang out with my partner, just like watch stuff on YouTube, go swimming if it's summer, play the guitar, that kind of stuff. Just try. I still don't feel like I've got it like the healthiest balance. It would be good to improve it, but yeah, when I'm not doing that, I have thought about it. Like sometimes I feel like I should have a thing. You know what I mean? Like having a thing that you do. I don't feel like I have a thing because this is now like playing my game was a thing. Playing music is, yeah. Maybe I should play more guitar. But I don't know. I kind of just like bounce around, do whatever I feel like. Read books. I know, crazy. I
Nice.
read books. Yeah,
Reading
just
books
like
is
whatever
awesome.
I feel like. Yeah,
That's great. I think you listed a lot of things, so I don't think you need to worry that you need a thing. It seems like you have a bunch of things that you're doing.
several things.
Several things. You know. So yeah, that's awesome, man. Speaking of things, streaming, content creation, that's a big thing. To be able to do that full time is amazing. I would love to hear sort of like, how did you get your start in streaming content creation? Is there like a specific story you could share of like, you know, how you got started, which game, all that fun stuff?
Yeah, it's something I've thought about for a long time. Like I've been following Twitch since 2011 or something, long time, or 2012, around then. And I don't know, it was just like something I always thought was super cool. But our internet was trash. Like we had a 1 megabyte upload speed until about 2020. And then COVID happened. And I never really thought, oh, this is something I should do. I kind of thought like, maybe I would like it, but I probably wouldn't. Like I don't have the personality for it. And then there was just one night where I suddenly just had an idea for a series of videos, and I couldn't get it out of my head. So I was eventually just like got up this like at 12 at midnight, got out of bed, I like wrote it all down and went to bed. And the next day I got up, I recorded it, I made the video, I put it up, and then I just didn't stop doing that. I thought like when I started, oh, this is gonna be something I do for like 3 weeks and I get bored and like no one's gonna watch and whatever. Like I didn't even care about it. But I just didn't stop doing it. I don't know, it stuck. It stuck. It was like the one, you know when you have those like random things like, oh, I'm gonna learn how to speak a second language or whatever. And like you never actually do it, or you do it for like 2 weeks and then you stop and you're like, whatever. This felt like that, but then I just didn't stop doing it. And I don't know. I really like it. So it stuck.
That's amazing. So let me ask you
Yeah.
this. How did you feel after like putting that first video up and like putting that all together? Like what was the feeling that you felt like when you did that for the first time?
Oh man. I don't remember. I think it's sort of like doing anything creative where it's quite exciting and you like watch it back a bunch of times. And this is like almost 5 years ago, so I don't really remember, but I do remember it was exciting and interesting. And when you do get a comment, very thrilling. But at the same time, like when I started doing it, I didn't have any plans. Like there wasn't any, oh, I want to make this my job, or I want a channel with like X number of subscribers, or even that I wanted to stream. This is like it was almost like uploading to I don't know what would be the equivalent be. Like uploading something to Newgrounds or something. It's not like I'm trying to make a career out of it.
I love that reference. Newgrounds was amazing
Yeah.
back in the day. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, but
Yeah.
you don't like upload something to Newgrounds and think like, oh, this could be
No.
my job one day.
For sure.
It's just like, oh, this is like a little thing that I put up, and then I put up another little thing and another little thing and another little
Yeah.
thing, and then there's like 600 little things, and it's your job, huh? It's so weird to think about. I think so. The thing that was the turning point for me was PoE 2 coming out, and then also signing up with Mobalytics and like really helping to get the site, get the Mobalytics site populated before the launch of PoE 2. Just like get the SEO, get some articles up and guides up, so that Mobalytics was actually being picked up by Google, and that being on like having some security, like financial security, and with PoE 2 coming out, I thought let me just do it. And there was another conversation I had maybe like a year or two ago with on another podcast called Fated Connections with Catmaster and Baylor Mage. I remember I was thinking about going full time for PoE 2. Thought it's like a big risk. Should I do it? Shouldn't I do it? And Baylor Mage said, like, if you do it and you fail, would you regret it more than if you didn't do it and you never knew if you failed or not? And that kind of stuck in my head because it was like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I fail. What would happen if I did fail? Versus like, you don't want to live with that regret forever of what if. So yeah, that combined with Mobalytics, new game, having like a little bit of savings, I just went for it. For anyone else who wants to just YOLO go full time, unless you got like a big savings, it is scary. Like I will say, without Mobalytics, I'll be screwed, right? I'm still not earning enough through everything else, but I'm working on it. And I think, I don't know, I probably got some of my views in chat. I'm sort of, now that I am more full-time, I've been looking at, especially this new part of Exile League, looking at doing things a little bit differently and sort of actually like kind of taking my content a little bit more seriously. Because it is my job, right? I still sometimes like, what the hell am I doing right now? I'm like, my job is playing games. I think I had a realization of like a month ago where I was like, wait, I need to take this seriously. Yeah, I don't know. What were you asking? Oh, right, about content creation.
I mean, you were very on topic here, and I think it just sort of, from what it sounds like, naturally sort of progressed into like almost like a reflection of like the past couple years for you, which seemed to be obviously really exciting with like Mobalytics. I think the launch of PoE 2, everyone can agree that launch was massive for any Path of Exile like content creator. Like it was just such a huge sort of event where, yeah, like a lot of new people got into Path of Exile, not necessarily Path of Exile 1, but just the Path of Exile like universe, the Ray class universe in general, myself included. But yeah, that's super cool, man. I feel like a lot of things that we do in life are not things that we think, what is this going to lead to down the road? We just do it because we want to do it. We think it's going to be fun. It makes us feel good. We don't necessarily think like, if I do this enough, is this going to be my job? Like I can relate exactly to what you said. We're like, so I'm like a freelance artist as my full-time job, but I did a lot of work for other places, like, you know, working as like a server and doing like sort of like odd jobs like that for a long time in conjunction with doing the art stuff. And then one day I just decided I'm going to go full time with this. I hate doing all this other work for other people. I love doing art. It's my favorite thing in the world to do aside from playing video games. But so, yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. And it lights a fire under your ass and it makes you kind of sit back and think, wait a minute, like, this is my job now. Like I have to really bust my ass to make sure that I'm putting in the work here, because before it didn't matter if like I wasn't making enough money because I had other things to supplement my income. But now I've made that decision to really lock in with this particular choice. And I have to, everyone says if you're going to work a full-time job, it's 40 hours a week. Like that's like your minimum. And I think if you're an entrepreneur, you have to sometimes even put in even more.
Way more.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez, you're a full-time. Wait, so you're a full-time artist,
Yes.
freelancer?
Yeah. It's very similar to streaming, where you get what you put in, right? And you can always put in more. Like with content creation, streaming, and stuff like that, there's always more stuff that you can be doing, and that's why I love it. And I think that I'm very like suited for, I guess, like this style of work. I get, or I'm not. It's not work for me. It's just like a pure hobby. But you know what I mean, right?
Yeah. You have to really, 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 really love something like that, like art, to do it as a job. Because I thought I loved music. I worked as a musician for a few years. Like, it makes you realize after a while that, well, there's like a few other things, but you need to have that drive to make a career out of it. And I think the moment you start trying to do it, you realize, like, very quickly, like, how much do I actually love doing this? How much do I actually love doing this? Is it something that I love enough that I can really put in the work, or is it something that should just be a hobby? And I've done this, dude, with everything that I really enjoy doing. I always try to turn into a career. Like, oh, I'm gonna be a musician, and then I'm gonna try write music, and it's hard. It's really hard compared to having like a 9 to 5. But at the same time, having a 9 to 5, I think, I don't. Maybe I'd be way happier, but maybe it just feels like it would drive me crazy, especially like driving into town every day and stuff.
Oh,
How?
I know,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah. Some people are sitting in traffic for an hour plus, both ways, each way, sorry, every single day, dude. And it's just like, oh my God, it kills me when I have to do that. And maybe it's because I'm not used to it, but I think you do get used to it, of course, over time, but it's just not for me. And I think that we're both very much aligned on the fact that like we have passions, and we're very lucky to know that what we love to do. Because if you ask a lot of people like, hey, what do you love to do? A lot of people will say, I don't know what I love to do. Like, people, aside from, the usual stuff, I like to watch Netflix, hang out with my friends, go get drunk sometimes, whatever. But there's not a creative passion that a lot of people have that they would even consider making their full-time job. So we're very lucky, my friend, in that regard, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I'm looking at your art is incredible. This is like unbelievably good.
Thank you, man. I appreciate
Wow.
that.
I saw the one that you posted,
Mhm.
but looking at this other stuff is like brilliant.
Thank
So
you.
who are these, like, commissions where from the city, or
Well,
where do you do these?
I don't want to talk too much about me because it's all about you and you're my guest. But
Okay.
I will say that for my art and stuff like that, I've been doing it for a long time. It started off very much so in the same way that our video game stuff started off, or
Yeah.
your content stuff, where I was just doing it for fun. I was just doing it because I wanted to. I love art. I started off as a troublemaking graffiti artist, and over time, developing a skill with the spray can was something that was actually quite niche. Not a lot of people know how to use that particular tool to do what I do. So it kind of created this own sort of niche for myself. And over time, I started getting invitations to paint for businesses, for towns, for festivals, for all sorts of different clients. And so yeah, the stuff on Instagram and my website is a mixture of like personal work and like commissioned work. But I very
That's
much
so
appreciate the
cool.
kind words, man. Thank you.
Yeah, you're gonna have to do a reverse one of these, because I'm looking at this art, and I'm incredibly impressed. I nearly studied art, by the way.
Mm.
I was obsessed with drawing throughout school, and I would draw constantly. Luckily, my marks were good enough that my teachers would let me draw in every single one of my lessons. Like, I would just like sketch constantly, and like I did web comics and stuff. And I see this, and I'm just, man, Sorry, we can get back to me, but I'm kind of obsessed with this. The line work, the color, I
I
love
love
it.
it. I love it so much, dude. Art has been a thing that I've been doing since I was a little kid, right? Where like I was drawing my teacher's stuff, like drawings, bribing them with art. Hey, give me a better grade. I'm drawing a picture. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah. So but it's very much the same thing with your content creation stuff. I'm sure with a lot of people, where it's I never thought that it was going to end up being a job for me. It was always just something that I love to do. And I think that if
Yeah.
anyone's listening out there and, they're having trouble sort of figuring out their path in life, really take a step back and figure out sort of where am I at with what my passions are? Do I have passions? Do I have hobbies? What do I love to do? And then if you can answer that question, that is the first step in terms of figuring out sort of your path. And it's hard. It's really hard. It's not easy to just be like, what do I
It
love to
is.
do? Yeah.
Yeah, and also like being lucky enough to pursue your whatever, if you even know what you're passionate about, having the whether it's like financial flexibility or whatever, it is hard for a lot of people, right? Because it could be like, man, I love making music, but I gotta put food on the table.
For sure.
So for like all of us, it's crazy. It's like no one gets to do this. No one gets to do this for a job, and it's something to really be grateful about. And I
100.
think that's why I'm sort of trying to, at least, especially this league, try and change what I'm doing and try and like take it. It's not that I'm not taking it seriously, but I think it took a few months to sink in. Like, oh, this is my job, and like getting things balanced so that I'm able to like more consistently do what I want to do, and hopefully it can stick around because no one is commissioning this. This is all self-motivated, and there is also that aspect of like, man, you're getting like instant feedback on stuff, not only just with comments, but also just analytics. You put out a video, it gets lots of views, and it feels good, or the opposite, and it feels bad. That's like one of the things that I'm trying to figure out, how to not be attached to that, because it's not healthy, right? If you put, it's very sort of performance centric rather than focusing on the process, which I think is much healthier, where you're saying like, I'm doing the work, I'm putting it in, I'm like reflecting on what I'm doing, seeing how I can do it better. So even if it doesn't perform well, I'm at least improving along the way. That I want that to be my mentality, where it's fine that the video didn't get so many views, but I felt like I did this better, I did that better, I put the video out, I did the work. So that's, I think maybe there was a little bit of a shift that I had, and I'm trying to ride that. We'll see how long it lasts before I burn out.
Yeah, that really is the tough thing to do, and I can totally empathize with that. I mean, we live in a world today where metrics and numbers and subscriber counts and likes and follows and all these things just
Yeah.
it's like a huge sort of weight on your mind. So it's a weight on your mind that uh, people didn't have to deal with 15 years ago, man. Like we weren't really like so
No.
focused on this, right? Like it was just like so for me that is one of the biggest core parts of finding balance in my life is how can
Mhm.
I sort of remove my own thoughts and my own mental how much this affects my mental health because you're absolutely right. You pour in this passion, you pour in this effort, you pour in this love onto something, whether it's a video or a piece of art or a piece of music, and it doesn't necessarily get the reception that you anticipated or that you expected to. And it does weigh on you, right? Like it makes you feel like kind of like
Mhm.
shit. You're just like, damn, like people don't like this. And for me, what I've been trying to do, and this is something that I've been working on for ages and ages, is just trying to be as happy with what I'm doing and making sure that I'm doing the best thing that I can. And that's all you can do. The rest of it isn't even up to you, dude. Like you're letting an algorithm that wasn't designed with you in mind affect you mentally. Like it's and it does, of course, but it really is not it's not anything that you can control, you know? It's just
Yeah.
even if you make the sickest video you've ever made and it just
Oh, this
flops.
one's
Yeah.
they
and
always flop.
it just flops, dude. And you're like, wow, that video wasn't sick. If you can stoked that you made this video that you're super proud of, that's
Exactly.
all you can do. That's all you can do, man.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And that's that shift from, I think it's like growth mindset versus what is it? Growth mindset versus performance
Mhm.
mindset or something like that. Where it's just like you focusing on the effort being put in and analyzing the work you're actually putting in, reflecting on what you're doing versus just the end product. Because at the moment you just focus on the end product, that's a bit of a trap, a big trap.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
how would you have gotten to where you were today if you were just focused on this goal the whole time? Like, imagine if you were like back in the day uploading your. I looked at your YouTube channel. Your like first video is like a speedrunning guide. Guys, we're gonna get into speedrunning in a
yeah,
bit. But if you had uploaded that to YouTube with the idea of like, this is gonna be my first step towards being a content creator and streamer full time, like it may have completely changed the perspective
yeah.
and your journey. Like it could have completely derailed you or something. Like, you know what I mean? So
You're
it's very
probably
much.
right. Hey, like going in with no expectations, just thinking like, oh, who cares what happens? Like I'm just doing it. Probably actually is what kept me doing it because I was just doing it.
Mhm,
I don't know how I got here. I just kept doing it. So
mhm.
yeah, going in with that mindset of just like just keep doing it,
Yeah,
put in the work, put in the effort.
yeah,
Yeah, see where it ends up. Hmm.
dude. I think we've hit on some really important points here. I would love to sort of move on. Hey, we talk about games on this
Yeah.
podcast too, guys. Don't forget, this is a Path of
Yeah, let's talk
Exile
about games.
podcast. But
Oh yeah.
the life portion is super fun. I love talking to different creators just about life, about balance, about their journey. I mean, I think that, it's important for the audience and for myself to really, get to know you because this is the first time we've had a chance to like sit down and hang out. So, dude, this is great. Love it. All right.
Me too.
So, you mentioned Diablo 2, which is
Yes.
and has been my favorite game of all time. Was that your first introduction to ARPGs? Was Diablo 2?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. There might have, I don't know if there was anything first, like Nox or something, but D2, yeah. D2 is for me too my favorite game of all time. Just hands
Nice.
down. I still play it. I never stopped playing it. I might have taken breaks, but I still regularly play it. I love that game. I remember the first time I saw it. I remember the first time I saw it, and then it was at my brother's friend's. I think it was like an aftercare thing. It was at my brother's friend's house. My brother was there, and they had a computer, and one of the guys was just playing this game, and I saw it, and I was like, "Oh, what's that?" And then kind of watched for a bit, thought, "Oh, this looks pretty cool," and then my brother bought a copy of it online. This is like in 2000. My brother, I don't know how the hell he figured it out. He managed to buy a copy of Diablo 2 on the internet in South Africa with like dial-up internet, and it got delivered to our house. And then it was just obsession from there, I guess. And I still play it. I still love that game so much. How
Me,
about you? When was the first time you played it?
me too, dude.
Yeah.
I also had dial-up internet. I think that was just like the standard for 2000, like living in the year
Yep.
2000. So yeah, my stepdad, I remember we had a home computer. He brought home a box of games. I've told the story a few times, but I love talking about it. And inside this box of games that someone was getting rid of was like StarCraft Brood War,
Oh, no
Diablo
way.
2. There was like an Alien versus Predator game on there. Like it was just this box of like glorious titles from like the early 2000s and late 90s. And I remember watching him play Diablo 2 for the first time. I was just like so captivated by everything about it. That game and StarCraft were like pivotal games for me
Yeah.
and as for my childhood. You know, we can get into talking about Blizzard down the road if you want to, but like they were single-handedly responsible for like shaping me as a gamer, like hands down.
Absolutely.
Blizzard
Always.
made
Yeah.
those like, those classics, right? Um,
Every game was the best game ever made. Like
yes.
without fail. Without fail. It was like the greatest
Yeah.
insert game, like the best MMO, the best RTS, the best ARPG.
Yeah.
Always.
For sure. Blizzard,
Yeah.
oh my god. Like I would love to just go back in time and like relive through like the golden era, because it was exactly like you said, banger after banger after banger.
They never ever miss. Like, can
Yeah.
you think of one bad Blizzard game like pre 2010? Was
No.
there one?
They were just the
No,
goats.
there wasn't.
They were
They
just
were
the
the
goats.
best game. Yeah.
So yeah, with Diablo 2, it became a game that I just played for my entire life. Every single year, it's like yourself. I go back and I play through the story. I make a sorceress. I like get to hell difficulty, farm some items, and then I'm like, all right, I've got my fix. Time to go play something else. But so Diablo 2 obviously holds a very special place in both of our hearts. How did you make the transition from Diablo to Path of Exile?
Oh, okay. Well, so Diablo 2, favorite game of all time. I've been obsessively following updates for Diablo 3, rumors on forums and things for about 5 years. And then finally they announced Diablo 3 in 2008. They announced it. And then it finally came out in 2012. I went to my first and only midnight launch where I got it. Couldn't get online, played it, and I played it for 2 or 3 weeks, and then I had this moment where it kind of just hit me where I was like, this game isn't very good. And it was the first time, because up to that point, Blizzard had just been immaculate, like flawless, perfect. Every single game, from my experience at least, had been the best game I'd ever played. And then I played this game, and it was like a cognitive dissonance of like, I actually don't like this, and this is something that I've like built up in my brain for like a decade, and it's just not giving me the feeling I want. And from there, so that was probably around like June 2012. From there, I started being like, man, I need my fix. Like, where am I going to find it? So I started Googling other ARPGs, and then I saw this game, Path of Exile, and I remember watching a video for it, and I was like, this looks crap. Like, I'm not going to play this. This just looks like a trash game. And probably like 6 months later, I was still like fiending. I probably went back to D2, but I was just like, man, I need a good ARPG. And I was watching Crip. This was, I think, like in January 2013. I was watching Crip. Someone had a key and they gave it to me. This was closed beta, and I booted it up, and I can't really describe how it felt, but there was something about it, about PoE immediately, that felt different from all the other ARPGs I'd tried. Because obviously, like, if you're a D2 fan, you're trying out all the other ones that come out, and just like none of them ever really hit the spot. But with PoE, it did. There was something about it that was just like special. My computer was a piece of crap, my little laptop, but I played it at my 30 FPS, and I don't know. Again, I just didn't stop playing it. It was like the D2, right? You like there's ARPGs you play, like Grim Dawn. They're fun. You play it a couple of times, but you stop playing it. PoE was like the return. It was just like I didn't stop playing it, and then they kept coming out with these crazy updates, and then I kept playing it more and more and more and more and more. So yeah, it really felt like the Diablo 2 of like my adulthood, I guess, or early adulthood. So that's how I got on PoE. Just looking for a fix, and I was given. Chris Wilson delivered.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. I have to acknowledge the fact that I think Crip, even from various interviews that I've conducted, has introduced a lot of people. I feel like he is very responsible for like helping spread the good word of Path of Exile, basically, at a time that was actually very pivotal, because Grinding Gear Games really did take advantage of this window of opportunity Shout out to the POE2 support gems. That Blizzard created with the not necessarily the failure of Diablo 3, but sort of the letdown that it was. It's like what you said. Diablo 2 absolutely goated, like without question. We have this game for 10 years. People want a new version of it. And so we had this hype building up for years and years and years about Diablo 3, and we're watching trailers. I also went to the midnight launch. I bought the collector's edition. Like, I still have the box and everything. But yeah, it just didn't hit, right? For X amount of reasons. I mean, if you haven't read the book Play Nice by Jason Schreier, I recommend reading that. It really highlights the story of Blizzard and what happened with Blizzard North. And, you know, I'll send it to you on Discord later.
Okay.
If you're reading, it's a
Yeah.
great audiobook too, if you're just chilling off stream and want to learn more about Blizzard. But Diablo 2 it was great. Diablo 3 left a void in a lot of ARPG fans. And Chris Wilson was like, no one's making the real successor to Diablo 2. And it was just like perfect timing, really great business sense on his behalf and on the other founders of Grinding Your Games. And it just opened up the world, especially with the help of like Crip and stuff like that as well, man. That's really cool.
Yeah, right place, right time. Because they've been working on it for a number of years before then, but it's just like then it launched at the right time. And I mean, the kind of the same thing with Diablo 4 and PoE 2, right? The same thing kind of happened where people didn't get their fix from D4, and then they're like, "Hey, what's this?" I mean, have you played PoE 1 much before this league, or?
No, so I have never played PoE 1 before this league. So I'm
How
very
did you
much
miss it?
So I'm very much so a person who plays a lot of different games, and so
Okay.
I didn't play Path of Exile until 2017. So it had been out for quite a few years already. And I don't think I lasted more than like 5 hours on the game. I remember going into it. I didn't watch anything. I was just, a blind person who was just like, I'm going to get into this new ARPG. Got in, felt very overwhelmed very quickly. Couldn't get my head around the skill gem, sockets, all this different type of stuff. There was a lot of league mechanics that were introduced throughout the campaign that I just couldn't like figure out what was going on. And so I just uninstalled, man. I just uninstalled and I never went back. And I think that I got filtered 100%. I'm actually going to talk about this in my newest video, guys. Self-plug here. I'm making a new video on like my experience going back to Path of Exile 1, having never really played it before. Only armed with the 1,000 hours that I have in PoE 2. So didn't look up anything, but I went back and tried it again. But after playing PoE 2 for 1,000 hours, and let's just say it was a lot better the second time around, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. But the way that you felt about Path of Exile, basically reminding you of the enjoyment and the fun of Diablo 2, is the exact way that I would describe PoE 2. PoE 2 for me,
really?
When I logged into that game, I was hooked from the second I spawned on the beach to fighting the bloated miller. And it was because I could see all of these direct points of inspiration that I from Diablo 2 that I didn't necessarily see that much in Path of Exile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The influence there is much more obvious. Okay, so you got that same feeling.
100%. So I highlighted this in my
special.
most recent video. I don't know if you had a chance to watch it, but if you're a D2 fan, I highly recommend you check it out. It's called D2 versus PoE 2, Inspiration or Innovation. And so I go through and essentially highlight all of these various points of inspiration that I found from playing Path of Exile for so long and compare them to Diablo 2 and really come to a conclusion on whether it's a lot of imitation or innovation or both. So I really think you'd enjoy that video. But that game brought back that feeling that I hadn't felt since I was like 10 years old playing Diablo 2 for the first time. Like it was just that magic, that like lightning in a bottle. I hadn't
how do you
seen
describe
that.
it?
Yeah. And so that's why I got so addicted to Path of Exile 2, is because it really, GGG really acknowledges, like even, the first 3 acts are the same in Diablo 2 and in Path of Exile 2, right? You got the desert in Act 2, you got the jungle in Act 3, you got the 2 mausoleums in Act 1. Like I was like, guys, like there's a guy I'm rescuing who's identifying items for me. This is literally Diablo 2, but just better. Like it's crazy. So, all right. So Path of Exile, you got basically into it right at that perfect time, right after like I don't want to call Diablo 3 a flop because I think it was commercially quite a big success for Blizzard, but
Oh
for a lot
yeah,
of
for sure.
players, it didn't hit home. And
No,
so
yeah, it
I wanted to ask you, like, if you could just, I know this is going to be a tough question, but what about Path of Exile has really like kept you playing it for so long? Like, is there any sort of thing you can speak about the
oh,
game that like really has made it become one of your favorite games?
what? Yeah, that is tough. I I think that's just there's so much interesting stuff to do in it, and there's a very good reward loop for doing whatever you're interested in. So whether it's making builds, which is fascinating, that is like a whole section of the game. There's crafting, which is another fascinating thing. Like the complexity of Path of Exile's crafting system is probably more complex than most complex games. And that's just like one aspect of the game. And then there's like making builds, doing strategies, and then there's like hardcore and all these other things. There's there's just like I don't I it is hard to pinpoint, but I think if your brain is wired a certain way, it has enough depth and enough points of just like intrigue that it is like truly addicting, like dangerously addictive. Where I'm sure many Path of Exile players, when they are thinking about a build or thinking about a strategy or something like that, it can be hard to go to sleep. And then you wake up early and you're thinking about it, and then you think, oh wait, what about that? Like I should put in that amulet, and then oh wait, that makes this and this and this. It's just a very rewarding game and very interesting, and then there's the divine drops, right? Just like the divines, getting those swings, immensely satisfying. So even if
Mm.
you're not into the depth and complexity of like making your own builds and crafting, you can just like blast, and your dopamine receptors are hit at the correct rate, I would say, where it's not like getting overloaded, and you're like getting withheld just enough so that when it does hit, it feels really good. And then you're just kind of like you're stuck in an addiction. And I'm not even joking. There are plenty of people, probably myself included, who are genuinely addicted to this game. Like actually, like as if it were a drug, they are addicted. People will get extremely emotional if like a league is bad, and they're like not getting their fix. They're not getting their fix. Or like Lake of Kalandra, that was the league where they did some weird stuff with the loot table. No one was getting the divines. People went berserk because there was no dopamine, and it's like, what have you done? You've broken my drugs. Like fix it. And I think the same thing
Absolutely.
happened recently with like PoE 2.
Mm-hmm.
People went freaking berserk, man. They
Mhm.
was like unhinged.
Mm.
It's not just a game. There is like genuine addiction. And that's kind of why you love it though, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of
I mean, it goes back to Diablo 2, right? They really, even with Diablo 2, they really, I don't know, it was so ahead of its time. I know we're talking about Path of Exile, but hear me out here. The way
Mhm.
that the dopamine receptors are hit in Diablo 2 with finding that perfectly rolled unique item or crafting that
Yeah.
perfect character or whatever, they just took that and basically made it smoke crack and then just got way crazier. Like that's kind of what my perception of Path of Exile was, is like they just took everything that they did in D2 and just made it way more complicated and way more interesting. And it's like what you said, it rewards your investment in your knowledge investment, your time investment. All of that stuff becomes so rewarding because it becomes something that you're thinking about. It's like a new language that you're learning that you can speak with other people about, like in terms of build crafting, in terms of item crafting, and all this type of stuff. Like it just feels like it unlocks this like new form of like I don't even know, communication or something like that. Like it's crazy, man. All right, so
Yeah.
basically, Path of Exile is a drug for a lot of people, and you have to give props to GGG. They really were the developer that sort of engineered this like 4-month cycle where people could sort of get their fix and keep people engaged in the game. And I really do think that that was like just such a smart and like honestly genius way to go about game development. Like with action RPGs specifically, like usually for me, I like play one character, I like get to a certain point in my progression, and then I like go play something else. But with Path of Exile, they've really acknowledged the fact that that is the general cycle that a lot of players sort of experience. And so they were like, how do we mitigate this? Like, we need to start bringing people back in on a semi-regular basis to play our games, right? So it's really cool that they figured that out. And I could definitely see how badly it affected the community when that wasn't the case, right?
It did. If they didn't figure it out, it was Crip. Crip was like, guys, you need to have a schedule. You need to have like a 3-month schedule. And it was 3 months for a number of years, like 6 years. Crip was like, dude, it needs to be like, you put it in your diary, like, it's coming then every 12 weeks or whatever. And they did it. And absolutely, it worked, man, because there's like always a new Path of Exile league coming, and if I don't like this one, it's okay. I can. There will be one without fail in 11 weeks, and that was one of like the pillars. I think Chris Wilson did that talk, and I think that was one of the pillars. It was just like I forget what it was, but predictability. And that went out the window, man. It went out the window for a long time, and it was very bad for the game. The fact that people now, I've seen so many people say it, people saying like, oh yeah, GGG, they were so good with the 4-month cycles. That goes to show how inconsistent it became, because it was a 3-month cycle for like 6 or 7 years. But then it became like a 4-month cycle, and then 5 months, and then 4.5 months. And like, as player, like, honestly, as a player, I don't care. Like, I'll do something else. I'll play another game for a bit, whatever. As a content creator, that shit is stressful, man. That is like really stressful because this game, the reason that so many people feel comfortable covering this game as a content creator, when ordinarily covering one game is generally a bit of a mistake, a bit of a trap. You can get like really burnt out. But with PoE, this is a game that every 3 months there's new content coming. People are coming back to it. People are excited about it. There's new stuff to talk about. There's new stuff to make videos about. People are going to watch you. It's like the perfect streaming game. When that went out the window, that's why we're seeing a lot of content creators quitting, because that consistency died, basically. And the reason is Path of Exile 2 was the light at the end of the tunnel, and then we got to the light, and it was more tunnel, more inconsistency. But they now have promised, and hopefully they stick to it. Once every 4 months, new PoE 1 league. Every 4 months, new PoE 2 league. If they can stick to that, this is like content creator heaven.
100%. It's a content creator's wet dream, dude. You can just bounce back and forth. It's double the amount of shit.
Perfect.
If you enjoy both games, not everybody does, but if you do, like yourself, it's literally like, you are even more feeling like taken care of, because 2-month cycle in each game basically now instead of 4. So
it'll be amazing 100%. If they stick with it.
I hope they do. I have complete faith. And here's the thing: I'm not nearly as experienced with GGG as a developer as you are. You've been engaged with the game for a much longer time than me. I just started playing this game in December. But ever since playing Path of Exile 2, it's really opened up my eyes in terms of how wonderful a developer can be. Like, I'm used to Blizzard levels of development where that was my baseline for a long time, was like, if there were issues with the game, I would expect those to be fixed and new things to come in whatever next thing that would happen. Basically, right? And I never realized that it could be different, where I know that Path of Exile 2 is in early access, but the amount of patches and changes and content and things were coming out on a pretty frequent basis, like every 2 weeks or something. I was like, these guys are doing these guys are doing God's work right now. Like, this is crazy. And now I'm a huge GGG fanboy, and it kind of adds to the whole, like, I don't just love the game now, I just love the developer too, and I want to support them, and I want to support what they're doing, because they really feel like a standout bunch in the like in the general game development sphere. Of course, there's other great like developing companies, but yeah, man, like GGG
again,
special.
there's something special. There is something special, and that's, I think everyone's, they're not just attached to PoE, they're attached to GGG. Especially back then when they were the underdog, man, like everyone was rooting for them. And the hilarious thing is that if you're coming to this game now from I will say, so GGG, they're amazing now. They used to be even more amazing, and they broke people's brains, man. Like, they set such a high bar that anything less than that is, like, some people view it as like a complete abject failure, whereas you are, like, coming from the outside and you've got like more of an objective perspective, you're like, holy crap, this is insane. But the thing is, a lot of people who have been with GGG for a decade, when they start seeing things, oh, it's they used to do this and now they don't do this anymore, and then I don't know, there's just been a lot of like weird like community stuff lately where people are really quite aggressive about it. And I'm not saying that there weren't reasons for people to be annoyed, but like you said, when they are still, from my experience playing other games, head and shoulders above pretty much any other company for a game that I've played, for a live service game.
100%.
So
S tier, I think we can all agree that GGG is an S tier developer. And I would go as far as saying that the way that I view them right now is the way that, like, I was looking at Blizzard North, like, back in the day, where I'm like, you guys are the goats. Like, oh my god, like, you guys are the fucking goats. And that, I know that, you know, that particular attitude can be, I don't want to use the word tainted, but sort of skewed, because they used to be even more goated back in the day, from what I understand. You know, yourself has said this, Try has said this, a lot of people have said this, like, their interactions on like the forums and Reddit and all of these things was like another layer of like community sort of interaction that they're so known for, that they're so like looked up to for. And I think that they had to maybe hone back on that a bit, because they've grown, right? They've grown significantly as a company with 2 games. And, you know, it would be cool if like they had people still engaging with the community on like that much of a personal level. But at a certain point, I think companies just stop doing that, and maybe that's because
it also
they've gotten
backfired.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it backfired, where they were, you know, they would give a lot of transparency and honesty and stuff, and like there was some situations where people just there was like a few crazy people who like start sending death threats and stuff, and like eventually it gets to the point where they say, like, they used to do things called balance manifestos and stuff, where they would say like, oh, this is what we are planning to do in the next patch, before the patch notes come out. And they eventually had to stop doing that because there would be uproar in the community, because that was lacking certain context, and then people would lose their minds over, I think it was Harvest. There was something with Harvest, and like people just like go absolutely berserk. So yeah, I guess it grew to the point where this game is popular enough that unfortunately you're not like the tiny underdog indie developer, and you've attracted enough people that some of those people are going to be lunatics and tough cookies. Like now it is not as good as it used to be, but it can't be. You can't be that big and that transparent, even though they are like crazy transparent. Look at all the interviews they do. They do like interviews with Try. They do the talks with. They're still like a 10 out of 10. It's just that they're not like a 20 out of 10.
Yes,
so
I think it's totally understandable that over time, especially with you know, the sort of backlash that they got, or the negative feedback they got about certain things, no one wants to get any sort of like threats or anything like that. Like, that's horrible, and no one should ever be exposed to that, especially because like that is just fueled by really passionate fan base. Like everyone can agree, the fan base for Path of Exile incredibly, incredibly passionate, and there are a few kooks here and there, but for the general, we all just love the game, right? And so,
Yep.
yeah, I can understand why they kind of honed it back and sort of reined in and said, hey, we need to still be transparent and still, showcase that we're interested in talking with the community. The fact that they did an interview, I always say this, the fact that they did an interview with Ziz like 2 days after Dawn of the Hunt came out, when like the community was just like in shambles in
On
Path of
fire,
Exile.
yeah.
Like, and they were like, all right, we're gonna go sit down in front of the whole community and talk to Ziz and have a heated interview. Like that stuff takes balls. Like that stuff takes massive balls. Like Blizzard, any company would never do that. Like just
No way.
never. Like there's absolutely no way. It's crazy. But yeah, I love GGG. I appreciate you sort of sharing light and educating me a bit more about this. I feel like I've learned a lot from having these interviews and talking to more of like the OGs of like Path of Exile and stuff like that. So I appreciate you sort of sharing your sort of knowledge. I really wanted to talk to you about the relationship and maybe the differences between PoE 1 and PoE 2. So for those listening, I'm a PoE 2 Andy. I just played Path of Exile 1 for the first time last week when 3.26 came out. Lolcohol, obviously, you guys know he's been playing PoE 1 for ages and ages and ages. He's, very well versed in this. I wanted to ask you, what are your favorite things about both games, and what are sort of your maybe least favorite things about Path of Exile 1 and Path of Exile 2? We'll start there. Maybe you can start with PoE 1.
My favorite, PoE 1, I would say the systems. This is going to be extremely vague, but like the mechanics and the systems of just everything. This is so vague. I'm talking about like the defense systems are fascinating. The damage scaling systems are fascinating. The crafting systems are fascinating. These are all like beautifully designed systems that are all things that you can engross yourself in, and just you could spend like a month just deep diving on these topics and being fascinated. Yeah, there's so much depth to it, but it's like at the same time like a puzzle that you're trying to solve, where as you learn more, you're like accumulating knowledge, and then you can bring it all together into it feels quite creative almost, where it's you might like learn from one artist and like emulate their style to try and understand what they're doing, and then you do that for like a dozen different things, and then you bring together this like individual understanding and knowledge, and just that's what I mean when I say the systems, like understanding how damage works and how you can build a character that has, for example, like very high damage or very high defenses. And then the crafting, understanding the crafting system, amazing. It's like, I believe it's like one of the greatest systems in any game ever, the crafting system in PoE 1. Least favorite thing about the game? I think it's too spammy. I think it's way too spammy. Like D2, again, going back to D2, D2 doesn't need to be spammy. It still hits the dopamine, but it doesn't need to have 17 trillion things on the screen and flashing lights and like divine orbs flying all over the place for it to be good. Like there's something special about D2 that I think is like one of the few games that has ever got it right, where it has that same feeling without it needing to be fast, without it needing to be so fast. I think PoE, it is fun when you're going super fast and like it's a bit crazy, but man, like the new boss fights, the new pinnacle boss fight, I couldn't see what the hell is happening. Like my character effect is just like blasting. It's just like a smear on the screen. Like that sucks, dude. I don't like that. But at the same time, that's what makes the game so amazing. Is that you can get to that point where you are just like the god, and you are just like destroying everything. So it's like those are the good things and the bad things. It's almost like the game. You get to a point with Path of Exile where the game is like the I don't know how to explain it. It's like the back end of the game. So the front end is like playing Path of Exile. The back end is like thinking about playing Path of Exile and thinking about the systems and making builds and stuff. That eventually starts becoming the game where you're like theorizing, and that's what I love. So for PoE 2, that currently is there, but not to the same extent.
Absolutely.
Not quite to the same extent. And it will get there with time, but it is currently missing where there's a lot of systems that are not quite in place yet. I actually really dig PoE 2. I'm not like one of those PoE players that hates it. The thing I hate most about Path of Exile 2 is the crafting system. I've been on several podcasts where I speak about the crafting and I get like quite irate about it because it is like the Path of Exile 1 system is so brilliant that it upsets me that they ruined it. Why? It's like, do you realize how good this thing you had is? Why did you break it? And I've like come to understand why they've had to change it. I still disagree with parts of it, but I'm at the same time like I really dig the game. I'm really enjoying it. The thing I like most, it's beautiful. It's like very reminiscent of D2, but also PoE. I think that it does have. It's more. It's not as nerdy as PoE 1, where it's like I can make a build work and I can play it, and stuff just works better. And stuff, I don't have to like sit in PoB for ages just to get a build to like play the game. Like there's enough stuff that just works. All this stuff feels really good. The audio in Path of Exile 2 and the music, exquisite, like unbelievably brilliant. So good. So visually, sonically, just the feel of the game is exceptional. And I believe that it'll get to the point where the systems catch up. If Path of Exile 1 didn't exist and Path of Exile 2 came out, it would be the best ARPG since D2. Like, no one would even question it. The problem is that Path of Exile 1 exists, and it has broken people's brains because it is so unbelievably good.
Mm-hmm.
It is so good that Path of Exile 2 pales in comparison for a lot of people. But if you didn't play Path of Exile 1, this is like the freaking greatest game since Diablo 2. Like, undoubtedly. Without a doubt. Undoubtedly.
That is how I found myself. Exactly. And thank you for sharing all that. I really appreciate that. I know we did talk about like crafting and stuff like that in PoE 1 prior to this sort of larger question about sort of the relationship and the differences between the two games. But I feel like you're very like your approach to it is very nuanced, where you have your loves about both games. You understand that they're different and they have different sort of visions and stuff like that. And there are great things about both of them. I think that for me, what I've realized, and I've only been able to realize this by going back and playing PoE 1, is what they're trying to do with PoE 2. It makes so much more sense now because as just a straight up PoE 2 Andy who hadn't played PoE 1, I was like, what's going on here? Like, why are people so upset with the way that, this game is being developed or the way that they're doing things in this game? And then I went and played PoE 1, and I went and played it the way that I love playing any ARPG. I went and played it blind. I never looked up a build guide. I went in and I just Lolcohol. I love the discovery of these games. Like when I played PoE 2 and I was learning everything and figuring out the synergies between my skills and how everything was working together and building my character, like there was this magic that I hadn't felt since Diablo 2, as we talked about, but I loved that magic. Like that magic was so fun. And I had that again in Path of Exile 1, but that magic was only because I had played PoE 2 before. If I had never played PoE 2 before, I think that the magic of discovery would have been, I don't want to say non-existent, but very much diminished because there is just, as you mentioned, so many systems at play in Path of Exile 1 that it makes a player, essentially a new player who's deciding not to, just deciding to experience the game and play the game without looking up anything. It's very, very hard for them to do that.
Yeah.
Very, very hard. And I would not have gotten to where I think I got to like, level 80 in like 30 hours. I did like up to T6 maps on a homebrewed Sunder build, and it was great. And I was having lots of fun, like, playing my character and getting upgrades and stuff like that. But I was thinking to myself, man, if I didn't know about the general like systems that had translated over from PoE 2 to PoE 1, I would have bricked this character so long ago. Like,
Yeah.
undoubtedly so. And so what they've really achieved well with Path of Exile 2 is they've made it so that like it doesn't necessarily, as you mentioned, require this deep understanding of systems in order to experience and play the game up to a certain level of progression, basically. That I felt like with PoE 1, it really, like, when I discovered how crazy crafting was in PoE 1, without looking up anything, I was like, I don't have time for this. Like, this is
Yeah.
I need textbooks, I need spreadsheets, I need everything, like, to fully get into how nutty it is. And I get it. If you dedicate the time, it rewards you. But for a lot of people, it's like there's this great filter of like, if you're not
Yeah.
willing and able to put in that effort and that time to understanding how crazy good this is, you're not going to enjoy this.
I 100% understand why anyone playing Path of Exile just hates it, or is like, I don't have time for this, dude. This is a job. It's so I actually cannot imagine being someone who has played from before leagues even existed until now and seeing like each league being added one at a time. I like, what is the experience playing it? Is it just like mayhem? Are you constantly just getting stopped by like, wait, what's this? What's this? What's this? I don't know. Like,
it's precisely that.
Yes, it's like that. Okay.
So essentially,
and like thinking, is this important? Is this important?
Yes, dude. My biggest distinction was, so I'm trying not to be biased because PoE 2 is now tied with Diablo 2 for being my favorite game of all time. I love the game so much.
Wow, okay.
It's inspired me to start a YouTube channel, which has never been something that I've loved a game so much for. It's like the same with you in Path of Exile, right? But when I played PoE 2's campaign, like, I think it's a pretty, I think a lot of people can agree that the campaign in PoE 2 is one of its best parts of the game. It's incredible for all the reasons you listed. And it felt like an experience, right? Whereas Path of Exile's campaign to me, which is, the way that new players are going to experience the game for the first time, they're going to play through the campaign. It felt like a giant tutorial for endgame. So playing through the campaign of Path of Exile 1 was like, there's a story, I'm not really too invested in it. And throughout this journey, the game is just constantly being like, and then there's this mechanic, and then there's this league mechanic, and then there's this league mechanic. And then it's like, I'm like, how do these relate to the story at all? Like, it's taking away from the narrative experience, right? Where like with PoE 1, like, yes, you do the King of the Mist as a side quest in Act 1. It's sort of, interjectedly put in there. It introduces the ritual system, but But other than that, there's not really that much like league mechanics in the campaign. There probably will be in Acts 4, 5, and 6 that introduce those endgame systems to the player. It's mostly just playing through the game and like experiencing the game's story and the game's narrative. Whereas PoE 1's campaign right now is very much like, this is just a giant sandbox tutorial for all of the shit that we're gonna make you do, or that's available to you in endgame, basically. Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay, I understand. Right, in PoE 2, it makes so much sense. Like with the King in the Mists, and then all these systems are like introduced and they're integrated with the story. Whereas PoE 1, it's just like there are these completely disconnected things that you are constantly stumbling upon, and you don't know what it is. And like, is this part of the story? This expedition and this like NPC with a thing above their head that wants to talk to me, and are they telling me I have to do this thing, and then I don't see it again for another like act? Like, what was that? What was that thing that I just did? Yeah, okay. That's sort of...
Yeah, so that was sort of my biggest distinction, and it made me realize, like, essentially, again, why they're doing things so differently in PoE 2. They're really trying to like, hopefully, sort of merge those league mechanics in sort of a way that narratively fits within the experience and doesn't necessarily make the player feel like, there's a lot of stuff going on here that I need to understand and learn before I get to the end game. It's more of like you are going to be like sort of flowing through the campaign and hopefully interjectedly experiencing these things.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my biggest like kind of takeaway from that. If you want to kind of chime in, you can.
No, I'm just curious what it's like for someone who's coming in at this late stage when there is so much in the game. Are you enjoying it? You're enjoying it now though, right? A bit more.
PoE 1?
PoE 1, yeah.
So I stopped playing after about 30 hours
Okay.
because I
Uh-huh.
got to a point in the game where I basically saw this giant door, and this door is like, this is how much knowledge you need to unlock this door to really go down like the rabbit hole. You know, Morpheus with the red pill and the blue pill. I definitely chose the blue pill and went back to PoE 2. And I think that I will go back to play PoE 1 again, 100%. But I will go back with a build guide because I think that having that instruction is just it's not necessary to enjoy the game, but it's necessary to progress to the game for as long as like to get super deep. Basically, it's like that's what you need to do because getting that far in PoE 2 or PoE 1 without any preconceived knowledge is basically impossible, I think.
Yeah. I cannot. You would have to be like some kind of super genius, I think, or just very lucky. But actually, even then, I can't imagine it. I think PoE 1 is at the point now where it is I don't know if you've ever had this experience with maybe a TV show or music where you kind of dip your toe in and it doesn't really, there's something to it, but you kind of just like turn it off after a couple of episodes. Like, I don't know if The Wire, have you seen The Wire?
Oh, everyone's been telling me to watch it because it's one of those shows that like is goated too, and I just haven't gotten into it.
Well, this is like that, right? Where The Wire, I've tried to watch The Wire like 2 or 3 times. I cannot get into it. But everyone who is into it, they said, "Oh, you have to try like 2 or 3 times or 4 times, and then it'll like catch you, and then it'll be your favorite show ever." I think PoE is like that, where you're gonna. There's so much depth to it that your brain can't really process it in one go. And I've heard a lot of people say this with PoE, where they're like, "Oh yeah, the first time I played, I like did the first 3 acts and I stopped, and I came back, and I like got to maps, and then I stopped, and then I played and I got to like yellow maps and I stopped, and then I played it and I am the most addicted to this game ever. Like I cannot stop playing this game. It is the best game ever." Where it eventually like sinks in and then you get it and then it hooks you. I've had that with a lot of bands where it's like some of my favorite bands now are bands that when I first heard them, they kind of annoyed me. I didn't like them and I thought like there's something, this is annoying. I don't like it, turn it off. And then someone would play it in the background and kind of like, you kind of like hear it and it's that annoying band again. And then one day one of their songs gets stuck in your head and you listen to it and you're like, this is amazing. This is the best. It's just something that it's not a surface level experience. It's an extremely deep experience that you can't like process what it is the first time.
For sure.
Think
it's like an acquired taste, I think.
Yeah, an acquired taste, but I think the fact that you got to yellow maps and you're planning to play a build guide next week, I'm just saying watch out. Like take a week off, right? Because this could be the time that it hooks you.
I believe so. You're absolutely right. Even from like, I didn't really give PoE that much of a chance when I first like tried it. I maybe played it for a couple hours and then uninstalled. So I essentially never played it.
Yep.
But then this time I did all of this stuff, 30 hours, got to yellow maps, and I had fun. Like I had a lot of fun playing the game, and it really made me like appreciate both games like more. Like it was just a great experience to sort of understand where they're going with PoE 2, what's coming. Like, dude, if PoE 2's endgame even comes close, like 1/10 of the stuff that's in PoE 1, like there's a lot of cool stuff. Like I loved seeing Blight. Like I thought Blight was just a super cool random like thing. They were like, I'm doing this tower defense thing in this game, and like, yeah, it was like there's a lot of cool stuff that could potentially translate over into PoE 2, which is really really exciting. But yeah, it's like what you said. I think in Dose, it requires like multiple attempts to like get into that, but that's not good. Like that's not good game design, right? Like having a player have to come back to your game multiple times over the course of potentially years is not good. Like there's a filter, right? And I think that's why PoE 2 is just going to be so big, basically, like because there's not really that filter right now. Like of course there's like the $30 early access fee, but once that's gone, dude, like it's going to be crazy.
It's so much better. It's so much better on that front. I've had a lot of friends who tried PoE 1 and they're just like, dude, this game is just crazy. Like I can't play this. They played PoE 2 and they loved it. Because it is just the onboarding is so much better. So hopefully they're able to maintain that. After a decade of PoE 2, might end up in the same situation where you're like, man, I'm so glad I've been playing this game for 10 years. Otherwise, I would have no idea what's happening. It probably will get to that stage.
I believe it will as well. I mean, that's just naturally what happens with, like, I think with these types of like ARPGs that, 10 years is so long, dude. Like the amount of stuff that we've seen change in PoE 2 just from like December until now has already been like significant. I can't imagine like, being a PoE 1 player and just being like, this is what the game was like in beta. And now we have like, all of this stuff. It's like, it's nuts, dude. So we'll see where they go with PoE 2. I feel like they're very aware of how like, I want to use the word like bloated PoE 1 is in terms of the amount of stuff that like is available. So I feel like they'll probably try to hone that back and really be conscious of what type of content they're putting into the game and how that fits within their sort of vision of like being more digestible for like newer players. But I'm sure down the road it's going to be a completely different game. Yeah. So we're at an hour and a half right now. I want to check in with you. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing good. I have a couple more questions I'd love to talk to you about. I don't know how long you have. I don't want to take up too much of your time. So how do you feel about maybe like 50 more minutes of questions?
15 more minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
Okay, cool. I want to say before we get into the next round of questions, I really appreciate you coming on today. This has been an amazing chat so far. I've been having so much fun.
Good.
And you're awesome, man.
Thank you. Me too. No, I'm glad we organized this.
Me too, dude. I really appreciate it. So I wanted to talk to you about speedrunning a little bit. I saw you had your sort of like you've been, doing speedrunning guides for Path of Exile 1 for a long time. You're also correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the like creators of the PoE 2 campaign codex, which was which is a wonderful resource. I actually had my first sort of toe dipping into speedrunning with the PoE 2 races. I saw you're doing Monk as well, so we can talk about that. But what sort of got you into speedrunning? Was Path of Exile 1 the game you started with, or were you sort of into it before then? Give me the scoop.
Like I'm not like a speedrunner. Okay, I've dabbled. I've dipped my toe in, right? But I always get to a point with it where I'm like, man, if I want to get good at this, I'm gonna have to put in so much time. And if you want to be competitive, it has to be like an obsession. I'm sure you know Mr. Llama, right? Do you know Mr. Llama?
I don't know him personally, but I love Diablo 2. He's one of the most prominent creators. Yeah, of course.
Exactly. So I love him too. He's like one of my favorite creators. And I watched his videos on Speedrunning D2 back in like 2017, something around there. And I learned how to like speedrun D2. And it was so much fun because I was bringing this brand new way of playing this game that I love so much. And this new element of, it was just like playing the same game you love, but a brand new experience. And I got into it for like a few weeks. I didn't get particularly good at it, but I think something with that stuck with me. Just the way that he explained things and him showing you these things and then applying it and seeing your speed go up. So I did the same thing for PoE, where I learned a bit of stuff. I was really bad at the campaign. I watched a lot of speedruns. I learned some stuff. I got like 3 times faster at the campaign, and those were my first videos. So it wasn't so much. I don't consider myself a speedrunner. More just I love the process of it, of like learning these little optimizations. It's just like it's another layer of depth that is fascinating. And like I said, just same with like all the systems, the crafting, all of this. This is another aspect. You could dedicate your life to being a PoE speedrunner and probably like have a pretty good time. So
That's super
yeah,
cool.
that is if a speedrunner heard you call me a speedrunner, not that you did, they would be offended.
100%. I mean, here's the thing. I recognize that like that's not your main thing, but we do have to
Yeah.
acknowledge the fact that like your first videos on YouTube are like speed running tips, and you
How to
also
speedrun.
yeah, and you've also like created this or helped create this amazing resource for PoE2 people to learn like layouts and stuff like that. So even though you're not necessarily like what you would call yourself like a hardcore dedicated speedrunner, you're still very much like a part of that community. You have an appreciation for it, and I totally agree with you. When you learn these like optimizations, it makes you so much better at the game because it allows you to understand this tech that like just isn't like something that like these big brain people who are speedrunning shit and figuring out like, alva skip or like NPC skips and like different like leap slam areas where you can like jump over walls and stuff like that. Like that's stuff that like you're not gonna ever figure out really on your own unless you're like as you said, a hardcore dedicated speedrunner. And like that stuff just makes you just better at the game. It's really cool.
And it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
It makes the campaign experience a bit of a. It's like you almost. I don't know. A lot of people hate the campaign. The campaign is a very, like polarizing thing. I think I used to hate the campaign, and then I learned that stuff with the going faster and stuff. It is hands on my favorite part of the game right now. In PoE1 and PoE2, I love doing the campaign. I'm not even, like I said, I'm not a speedrunner, but there's something about the feeling of just being slightly more efficient than average, and not. I don't know. It's just very satisfying. It is very satisfying. I could see myself doing it, but the thing is, if I wanted to become a speedrunner, I would have to just like, that must be all I do, I think. I couldn't focus on like build guides or crafting videos or streaming. It would just be like lock in. We're practicing 8 hours a day.
Yeah,
But
dude, I know. It's like it almost becomes it's a different game. Like you're playing a different game. You're playing Path of Exile or Path of Exile 2, but the way that you're engaging with it, it's completely different from the way that you would engage with it. So I have to ask you, we raced together on the third race in Path of Exile 2. We both played Monk. We both got very, very similar timings. I think you finished at like 3 hours and 30 minutes or something like that. And I finished at like 3 hours and like 32 or 33 minutes or something like that.
No way.
How much did you practice with the Monk? What was your sort of experience with PoE2 campaign racing? Give me the scoop on that.
Oh.
I was like one position behind you.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I
think
see
so.
you. You are like literally 1 minute behind me.
Yeah.
Holy crap. So for PoE1, there was a very popular layout guide it was by someone called Engineering Eternity. Oh, you got a sub. Heck yes. For 6 months, sorry. Just in case you want to pause and acknowledge it. That's so cool.
Wait, what? Yo, Prince of Persia, my dude. I don't normally talk about chat during the pod, so sorry, listeners, because this is a very rare thing. But thank you very much for that. I appreciate you. That's super nice.
For 6 months, what a legend. There we go. You heard this, and you're reporting to Ben. Oh no.
That is very kind of you, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you.
So the speedrunning stuff, I realized at some point, like, man, I want to do what that guy did for PoE1, but we do it for PoE2. And then one of my friends, Guitaraholic, I was just thinking about this, And then Guitaraholic, he's like one of my buds and mods, and he set up my Discord. He's awesome. Love Guitaraholic. He messaged me one day and was like, shouldn't we do like layout guides? And I was like, man, I was thinking the exact same thing. And then we just did it. We just did it. We went in the game, got a Temporalis, took a million screenshots and did it, and made like the first iteration of the layout guides, which do need to be updated. I know they need to be updated, but it was just like those were resources that I really, really appreciated having in PoE 1, and they didn't exist in PoE 2. And I was like, I could be that guy. we could be that guy.
You guys are legends
And
for
we-
that. It was
Yeah.
it was so helpful to have that. I remember I did the first race just with my own sort of knowledge of
Yeah.
the game and the layouts and stuff like that in my own practice, but I didn't get turned on until to the Path of Exile 2 like codex or whatever. Sorry, I'm calling it. It's the campaign codex.
Campaign. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't learn about the campaign codex until race 2, and after race 2, I did so much better because I was like, oh, like this is how the apex of filth is. It's a giant spiral.
Yeah.
Like learning that and like learning all these great things. It was just like incredible, and the amount of work that you guys did. I just have to give you guys a big props, big shout out for that. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. That was so fun. And yeah, you get that feeling of like, oh, I'm not just running blindly. Like I know where I'm going, kinda. Like you still get lost, but knowing that like, oh, this area is a spiral, and then you follow it and you get to the end, and
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
it's very satisfying. So just having that level of understanding is enough to be satisfying to me.
For sure.
Versus people like Angormis, who's just like unbeatable. Actually, how did the boss kill race 6 go? I don't know. That's a different level. That's like when you're racing against yourself. You're racing against your PBs and stuff, which is also very satisfying, but it's too much work, man.
It's a lot, and I think
Yeah.
that it definitely depends on the game that you're doing that for. But the thing about Path of Exile is that every single practice run that you're doing is very, very time intensive. Like I don't know how much you
Mhm.
practiced for the PoE 2 races, but like I was doing multiple runs. I started myself with doing Act 1 and trying to nail down that Act 1.
Yes.
You know the monk. It's tough, dude, to balance your attribute points to make sure you can use shield charge with level 3 gem, and then make sure you can
Mhm.
leap slam at like level 7. Whatever it was, 52 strength. And so getting that locked in was just like, dude, the practice was crazy. And I know Warriors sort of had an easier time. They're just like, I'm gonna go strength, I'm gonna go perfect strike, easy clap. So how much did you practice for those races when you were when you got that like 3 hour
When I
30
was
time?
doing it.
Yeah.
So the 3 hour 30. So I didn't play the first race.
Mhm.
I woke up after the first race and someone in the server was, oh, this guy Angormis, he's in our server. He won the race, and then like Alex came second, and they were both in the server. And Angormis was like, oh, all these layout things, they were massively helpful. At this point, like no one knew him. No one knew who he was, I don't think. And then I watched his run, and I saw like the application, like him implementing more than what we had done. By the way, he had because he had practiced so much, he had learnt more than we had discovered. So I watched that, and I got excited. I'm like, I want to do this. I want to do this. So I mapped out his route, and then I tried to do it, and I tried it on Marauder, and I hated it. It was horrible. He makes that look easy. I know it looks like Marauder. I mean, not Marauder. Warrior looks super easy. Man, it is tough. It is really tough. So after that, I want to do this, but let's do it on a monk. So I practiced probably from the Tuesday, and then the first run was on the Sunday, I think.
Yep. Yeah.
And
What did that
then
look like for you? Was it like one run a day, or were you trying to string together like different acts? Or I'm just curious about your process. Yeah.
The process was practice Act 1 several times, and then practice Act 2. So practice Act 1, let's say 5 times with 5 characters.
Mhm.
and then take those same 5 characters and then run them from Act 2 to Act 3. And then take those same 5 characters and run them from Act 3 to the end of Act 3. So just like you're repeating, this is like rote learning, not rote learning, but like repetitive. You do Act 1 over and over and over, and you do Act 2 over and over and over. So it was probably, man, I was streaming then, probably like 6 hours a day or something, or 6 hours a day, probably about that. So I don't know. I didn't keep track exactly, but I probably put in between that race where we came so close. I probably put in 40 or 50 hours of practice at that point.
Mhm. Which is very
Yeah.
like that's like a a good amount of practice in the time that you had between races 2, like up to race 2 and then race 2 to race 3. Like that's the thing with PoE like racing, there's so much time that you have to spend like doing this, and then if you like mess up your run and you're redoing it, it's like you have to again, and that's another like we took it 3 hours
Yep.
and 30 minutes to get to Act 3, which is a good time for point 1
That is good.
races. Yeah, it was, dude. Like, props to you for props to us for doing like decently, right? It's nowhere near like the top 10 timings. Like, so 3 hours and 30 was like top 10 timings in the first race ever because
Yeah.
no one knew what they were like doing really. I mean, they did, but they didn't like have the the Angormus runs to study or the Sarge runs to study and all that kind of stuff, right? So, but now it's like it's gotten even crazier with like disengage rake and stuff like that, where people are doing like Act 1 in like 25 minutes or something like that. Like it's just
Crazy.
nuts. Yeah. But it is a fascinating way to play the game. It's not. I've learned it's not for me. I got so frustrated, dude, when I was racing just because of these tiny little mistakes or these tiny little things. Like, if you get to Deshard and you can't find the dead body because of a weird layout, and you're like, oh, like this is, I'm thinking about it every second, right? And it's like, if I had gotten a better run on like the third race, I would have beat you by like a minute or something like that. So it's just those little things all add up, right? In a long race like Path of Exile 2, I should say. Yeah.
You have to have a very specific brain for speedrunning because it is. I think it gets to the point where it's almost like brute force, where you know you can do it. The stars just need to align, and then you need to either be someone who's like, I'm gonna put in the time to make this thing happen that I know I can do, or you like you described earlier when you were talking about like seeing the door and knowing what's behind it, and you just like. Actually, you know what? I'm fine. It's fine. Like I'm not gonna open that. I'll rather live without it.
For sure. Yeah, that's super cool. Thank you for sharing sort of your inspiration behind starting the campaign codex and your racing experience and stuff like that. One final thing that I wanted to ask you about is music. So I went and listened to some of your songs on SoundCloud. I noticed that the last upload on SoundCloud was about 2 years ago. So I wanted to ask for the viewers, can we expect to see any new songs from you in the future? If you guys are curious about his music, I will leave a link in the description as always. But what's the scoop with the music, man?
What's the scoop? I love doing it. It takes too long, and financially, it's just kind of not worth it. I hate saying that, but it's just the amount of time to write a song, do the video, upload it. It's not worth it anymore. As horrible as that is to say, but maybe it is something that in between leagues, we could bring back and just like do it on stream or something like that. Make a song, find like a fun voice line, and then just turn it into a song. I would love to do it. I think that it's just that thing I was speaking about earlier of the performance mindset of, I put in all this work and it only got X number of views, therefore it is not worth doing. Versus, this is a really cool thing that I put a lot of effort into. I enjoyed doing it. The people who watched it loved it. That should make it worth doing.
100%.
Versus, yeah.
Like, I first of all, like, Yeah, I listened to like obviously For the Cowgirl first. It's just such a it just has such a funny vibe to it, and I think your
Yeah.
personality like really shines through with that stuff and with that music. And I understand that it's tough to invest a lot of that time in music like that. Like, got to give a shout out to Off Meta Michael during our episode. He is a musician as well, and he made all of his songs for his build guides
Oh,
for Diablo 2, I think, and then he turned it into a full album. If you haven't listened to it, check it out. He
wow.
did an ARPG progressive rock album. It's all inspired by Diablo 2 build guides that he made, and it was exactly what we talked about. I'm like, dude, the amount of time that you spent making the build, like filming your gameplay, editing, and then not only that, but making a song. It's like guitar, drums, bass, equal like EQ. I don't know. I'm not a musician, so I don't understand that. But like, I can only imagine. Like,
It's a
dude,
lot of work. It is a lot of work.
it's insane, bro. But the thing is, he loved doing it to the point where it wasn't like he was looking at it in terms of like, I'm not getting the return on my investment. But then over time, he was like, I'm not getting a return on my investment, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. The same with me is like when I was starting my channel, I was just like, oh, I actually for a long time, the first song I did, there was a line that I heard and it had this rhythm to it. I was like, someone should make a song for it. Someone should make a song from that. Someone should make a song from that
Mhm.
for like years. And then eventually I was like, oh wait, I can do it. And I did it. And then I just kept doing it and it was super fun and I loved it. But yeah, it gets to a point where it's like, I don't know if I guess if it's your job or if your mind shift changes from like, oh, this is a hobby and like a little thingy I'm doing on the side to, oh, my channel's actually picking up steam. This type of video doesn't perform well, so I shouldn't do it, which is really sad if you
Mhm.
think about it, because who knows? Like if I kept pumping out songs, maybe those would be performing like crazy well right now. Who knows?
Mhm. Yeah, it's tough. As long as you feel
But
like if you are doing those things, you still are feeling like passionate about it or enjoying it. I think that's all that matters. And
yeah.
again, you're absolutely right. The kind of the perspective changes, right? When you're like, only have so much time in a day to work on these videos and
Yeah.
work on everything else. Like, if that stuff is taking a lot of time out, and now that this is my career choice, I can't necessarily justify it. It's totally like understandable,
Mm.
but I'm talking as terms of like just a person who appreciates that stuff. Like, I'm sure there's other people out there like myself who would love to see those things come back in
I would love
not
to
as
do it as
not
well.
as frequently, but here and there.
Yeah, more than once every 2 years.
Yeah.
I think we should make it happen. Make a sub goal or something so that
Boom.
I don't feel like
Yeah. There you
worried
go.
about money and stuff. Yeah,
For sure.
there
All
we
right,
go.
guys. So you heard it here first on the Passage Tree podcast. We may be getting another Lolcohol song in the future. We might not have to wait 2 more years to get a new song. To close out this, a classic question for closing. Any advice that you can give to somebody? I know we have a good amount of your community in the chat here and some of my community as well. If anyone's thinking about getting into content creation, becoming a full-time streamer, content creator, what sort of advice would you like to share with them to help them get started on their journey?
Oh, I have so much advice. First thing is just do it. Seriously, Shia LaBeouf meme. Just do it. Actually, just seriously, like stop making the excuses. Literally, just do it. Like make your channel, make your video. The best advice I can give you is let's first start. The best advice is you're gonna suck. You're gonna be terrible at it. The good news is this is a skill like anything else. And if you keep working at it, if you put in the effort, you do like reflection, you'll get better at it. And the other great news is when you start, you're gonna suck, but no one's gonna watch. So it's fine. You can suck in secret and then get better. And then by the time people are actually watching you, you kind of know what you're doing. So I think the biggest turnoff for a lot of people is they're like, oh, I'm gonna buy all this equipment and I'm gonna put out the video and I'm gonna like make the best video ever. And like, oh, like everyone's gonna watch it. It's gonna be so cool. And then they release it and like it gets 2 views and it's probably just them refreshing the page, right? If you instead change it to say like, I'm going to be bad at this, and that's fine because I'm going to keep doing it. I might get better at it, and no one's going to watch, but it's okay because I'm going to keep doing it, and then I'll get better at it. So just like literally just do it. Freaking, it's being bad at something is the first step to being good at something. Like you can't just magically be good at something. Other advice, go watch the first videos of some of your favorite creators. If you don't believe me, watch their first videos. You'll be like, oh my goodness, it's so bad. And then you go like, oh wait, it's a skill. You get better. You just keep doing it. So yeah, stop making excuses. Unless that excuse is like, I have a family and a 14-hour job. That is a very good excuse. But if you're just like chilling and you got a lot of free time and you're not doing it, and you're just like, but what if like, just do it. No one cares, just do it.
I love that. I love the suggestion of like everybody starts somewhere. Go back if you want to see, Lolcohol's early videos. Go check out his like speedrunning tips. The thing is also to add on that, you don't know you're that bad until you progress past that. So when you make those first videos, like my first video was a HC SSF campaign guide on Path of Exile 2. And that was only like 4 or 5 months ago. I can go back and I'm like cringing like crazy. I'm like, holy crap.
That's good though.
How did I think that was acceptable? But in the moment when I made that video, I was like, this is awesome. Like, I'm stoked on this.
Yeah.
I'm putting this out there and it's going to be great. And so we don't know where we're at until we evolve past that. I think it's a great thing that you sort of add on to with your thing.
Exactly. And if you ever have that moment of cringe, that's a good sign because that means you got better.
100%. Dude, thank you so much for sharing that. That's a wonderful piece of advice. Guys, if you're curious, just start. Same thing with me. I'm such a new creator, but I just was like, dude, I'm just going to make a video and put it out there. And now I'm having a chance to talk to Lolcohol, man. Like this is, it's just part of the journey. Like this is so cool. So, if you're passionate about something, that's the most important part. I think that's like the theme of this whole podcast is really, appreciate and understand those passions. And those will get you really far in life. So guys, at this point in the podcast, Lolcohol, just, plug yourself. Where can we find you and what are you working on right
now? Lolcohol, YouTube, Lolcohol, Twitch, Lolcohol everywhere. And I am working on trying to be better at content creation. I guess, as vague as that is. Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, as always, I will leave a link to not only his YouTube and Twitch, but also his SoundCloud so you guys can start bugging him for new music coming out soon. Thank you so much, dude. This has been a really fun chat. These like 2 hours have actually flown by. I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. And I appreciate the raid, dude.
Thank you. No, it was awesome. We'll do it again in a year's time. And I want to hear what you have to say about after a year of being a PoE creator.
I would love to do that. Hopefully by then I'm like down the rabbit hole in PoE 1 and in PoE 2, and we can kind of like look back and be like, man, Blaze, you were like, or
remember.
I'll be like, Lolcohol, remember when you said that PoE 1 requires a few attempts in order to get sucked in? I think that's definitely going to happen for me.
It'll happen.
For sure. All right, guys, until next time, stay safe, have a wonderful day, and we will catch you in the next one. Peace.
Bye-bye. All right.
Dude. We did it.
That was great.
We did the thing. Hell yeah. This is the after chat now. Are you going to stream now? Because I can re-raid you if you want to go back.
You want to counter raid?
I'll counter raid you if you want.
I'm gonna have supper and stuff. So we'll need to find, if you need to head off, we can find a third person to raid.
Hell yeah. Everybody in the chat, thank you for hanging out. It was wonderful.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, like getting messages. I'm sorry, I can't really like acknowledge a lot of the chat messages while I'm doing the podcast. It just would create too much of like a, weird dynamic. But I appreciate you guys hanging out. It was awesome. Thank you to all like the Lolcohol community members who stuck around. There was one guy who said, why do these interviews always start with 30 minutes of talking about how awesome it is to be a streamer? That is weird because no episode talks about that. It talks about how awesome it is to play games at a young age. So your message, not a great one. But
you'll learn to ignore it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
All right. So yeah, let's see who's online that we can raid. Maybe if Cal Tarak's on run, maybe we could raid him.
Oh yeah, Cal. There's Scrimps. Or I don't know if Scrimps. You pick, or maybe there's someone in chat who's got like, I'm gonna go live for the first time. Raid me.
I would love to do that.
I'm doing.
I feel like there's the usual people, but I would love to pay it forward. I don't really get rated very often, so I would love to send you guys to somewhere, especially someone who is maybe newer. Scrimps, I don't know him personally, but I would love to rate him, and I would also love to get him on the pod as well. So let's do it.
SKR1MPS.
Got
I
it.
wrote it down for you.
Got
it. Scripps is great. You'll love him.
Great chat, good casual vibe. Looking forward to more interviews, but I'm a PoE 1 Andy, so maybe I'll be back if you give PoE 1 another to go. For sure, dude. Thanks for stopping by. And I appreciate you hanging out. I know, I don't want to have so much of a divide between PoE 1 and PoE 2.
Yeah, me too, man.
We all love Path of Exile, man. We can all hang out. And as you just saw, a PoE 2 Andy, a PoE 1 guy, well, not fully, but way more on the PoE 1 scale. We just hung out and chat for 2 hours and it was all good, man.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I dig both games.
All right, guys, we're going to send you guys over to Scrimps. Make sure to say hi. And it's been a pleasure.
Catch you later. Bye-bye.
All right, peace.
There we're going. We're going with the raid. Don't forget to end your YouTube stream.
Yes, I'm going to end my stream in 3 seconds. 2, 1. Goodbye.